Yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day in which, in theory, the country can reflect on the legacy of this iconic figure, what he meant for the country, for certain communities, and what we can draw from his teachings in the modern era. Not everyone spent the day that way, though. Charlie Kirk decided, I'm gonna go to war with Martin Luther King Jr. He tweeted, "Who was MLK? A myth has been created and has grown totally out of control. While he was alive, most people disliked him, probably for good cause. Yet today, he is the most honored, worshipped, even deified person of the 20th century. Today, we are gonna tell the truth and explain how this myth was born. Happy Monday." So let's say that you think people are unfairly or wrongly, ill-advisedly looking up to an iconic figure who was struck down long before his time. You're not going to war. The Happy Monday is so needlessly over the top. God damn, these guys love to pretend that they're tough. You're tweeting about how you're going to insult someone who is already dead. You're not that tough of a guy, even if you were gonna have anything in terms of evidence to come with. It's just so ridiculous. But we're gonna ladle on top of that, oh, what do you know? He's being dishonest about what he really believes. Back in 2015, Charlie Kirk called him a hero. In 2022, called him a civil rights icon. Those are all objectively true. Well, you could argue, I guess, hero, but certainly they seem like things that have been said about this figure, including by him. Last December, he said MLK was awful. He's not a good person. He said one good thing he didn't actually believe, referencing the content of your character, not the color of your skin line. I love the idea, by the way, that he would say, he said one good thing he didn't believe because they only remember the one thing. Like they have a thing that they quote because they think that it makes it okay to believe the regressive things they believe about race. They don't know anything else about his ideology or his philosophy, what he really stood for, what his activism was designed to accomplish. And so I think he's really betraying that. But we're gonna close with one more comment. Or one more instance of hypocrisy. He at one point through Turning Point USA sold $55 shirts with MLK's name and stickers on it. So he was selling merch of the person that he is now going to bring down and destroy the myth of. Right, what do you think?
I'm reminded of Jurassic Park. They were testing the fences systematically for weaknesses. They remember. So that is how the right-wing media sphere works. You'll be like, you guys have said so many different things about MLK over the years. Like, which one do you believe? No, they know that largely they want to chip away at like black people who vote Democrat. And they need to find a way to do that, and they do it. And Trump's been more successful with that in this like horrible, like cynical attack on trying to win elections. But with MLK, they've tried calling him a hero and saying he actually, all these people who are pointing out like systemic racism in government and America's system. Don't you remember what MLK said? He said, don't judge people by the color of their skin. And affirmative action is judging people by the color of their skin. That's his attempt. That's his rhetorical attempt to get you to be like, oh, the Democrats don't understand MLK. Now they're looking at all these tweets and things that are like, if you think about it, all these folks on the right who are saying MLK is awesome, they would have hated him at the time. He was actually a socialist who, and all that stuff. And the Republicans right now are in the thick of trying to leverage that thing, hear the word socialist, and then try to turn people against MLK. And if you think it's crazy and you think they can't do it, just get in an actual deep conversation with like a quasi-conservative about what the Civil War was about.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do everything they can. They'll believe it. They love this. This is the new like body hack, like douchebag internet thing where they're like, actually, what you don't understand is like, this whole thing about it was about states' rights in a way that was economic. And if you read like this one tweet, like it's just BS. And this is the beginning of their attempt that I'm sure will land on thousands and thousands of people saying MLK was actually an evil murderer or something.
Yeah, 100%. They don't even need to. I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a series of tweets or a video, or he was given, $50 million by a billionaire to create a documentary or whatever. It doesn't really matter because there will be nothing to any of it, and there doesn't have to be, because it's not like there are a bunch of just people out there that are going to like look over the evidence that Charlie Kirk is going to present, and then they're going to think about it, and they're going to weigh what scholars have said about him. They're going to go to the primary sources, and they're going to read the writings of Martin Luther King Jr., and they're going to listen to his speeches and then decide. They love the idea. There is this desire for hidden knowledge, not a desire for actual knowledge, but just anything that is presented as subversive or hidden. Something where if you say that you believe this thing I just pulled out of my ass, you're going to be smarter and superior because you know a thing that the sheep don't know. That's all it is. And so I agree with you. I think that the attempt to come up with a better way to talk about MLK, that could be a part of this, but it's also Charlie Kirk knows what his audience is, and he has a show that has to be filled with content. And because they can't talk about actual news, he has to come up with something to fill the show.
Yeah,
and he knows what his audience is like, and he knows what they want. So him and his producers sit and think, what's a racist thing we can say? What if we just go to war with him? No,
it's not a racist thing. It's not explicitly that, but everything else I agree with. It's like I've made videos like this.
That. It's what can we do that allows us to. What's that?
Title and thumbnail. They're like, what you don't know about MLK will floor you.
100%,
I did one of those. It was like, did you know that Ronald Reagan loved drag shows?
I remember.
Like those are fun ones.
It's just like none of this. And again, it's the least important part of this, but I will always point out, I waited until the end. He doesn't believe any of this. None of this is based on like he didn't believe, again, it's not he doesn't believe this. In 2015, he called him a hero. He didn't believe that. He doesn't believe any of this. This is the core characteristic of all of these people. They're just saying things.
In his reply to that,
people. What's that?
In his reply to he replied to something, and it was a reply to his own tweet, kind of also implicating he was going to say, by the end of my video, you're going to know that that MLK was the biggest champion of individual and property rights, basically. Like,
yeah, it's just
BS.
I said in the production meeting, everyone's like, oh no, what if like AI takes over all of this and we don't have, humans, individuals, conscious thinking things? We don't now.
Yeah.
We don't, none of these are people. Or if they are people, it has nothing to do with what they do when the cameras are rolling.